Hello, we have this solar inverter right here and it is not working. You can see we have these tubular batteries here and we have 4 of them that is connected to the inverter. This inverter up here, the 4 batteries are connected to this, and then this is the charge controller that controls the charging of the batteries. But right here you can see that there is the 2 lights there are just blinking, which is showing that there is a problem somewhere, either with the charging system or with the batteries. So we'll look into that and then we'll solve the problem. So basically this particular inverter connection doesn't supply voltage to the building. So we'll troubleshoot and see where the problem is from. If it is from the battery, we'll know. If it is from the charge controller, we'll know. And then if it is from the inverter itself, we'll know. So let's come to the charge controller and see the functions. So right here on the charge controller, the voltage that is being supplied to the charge controller is 0 volts, which is wrong, and the battery capacity is none, and then the set current is supposed to be 60 amp, but we are not getting that. So let's look at the batteries. So right here on the batteries you can see a lot of lead crystals everywhere, and that is a problem. So when you have lead crystals or lead sulfate crystals on your batteries like this, or you can call it carbon buildup on your batteries like this, it shows that the battery is stored below the voltage. So the voltage for this battery is generally 12 volts. So when it's stored for a long period of time with below that 12 volts, it will begin to build up this lead sulfate on the battery terminals. So what I mean is this: for example, this is supposed to be the normal voltage for this battery is supposed to be 12.4 12.5 volt thereabout. So due to one reason or the other, either due to the battery not charging, or the battery not receiving enough voltage, or the battery was not charged to full capacity, it over a long period of time it will build up this lead sulfate or these lead sulfate crystals on the battery terminal. So that is one of the major signs that your battery is not charging, when it begins to build up these lead crystals on it. So what I'm going to do first is to clean out the battery terminal, remove the build up the lead crystals around the battery terminals, and then ensure that there's continuity there, and then the terminals is contacting the batteries. So the normal arrangement for solar inverter setup is that you have a solar panel on your roof or wherever you want to set it, where you can have access to quality sunlight, a considerable amount of sunlight, and the solar panel is directly connected to your battery controller. A battery controller will give the right voltage, set the right voltage, and then supply the batteries with the right voltage that the battery needs to charge, depending on the connection type. Is that your battery is connected in series or parallel, whichever way. So the charge controller will supply the batteries with the right voltage it needs to charge, and then the battery charges, and then the voltage from the battery is supplied to your inverter, and then your inverter will convert the 12 volt or 54 volts depending on the connection type of your batteries, and then will convert it to 240 volts or 110 volts depending on the voltage rating of your country. So that is how the solar inverter is supposed to work. But if there is a problem and you're not getting the right voltage, like for this particular setup right here, I noticed that once you put on the inverter, it can't hold up charge for more than 2 seconds. So your light stays up, the voltage stays up for like 2 seconds and or 3 seconds thereabout and goes off again, which is wrong. So I'm going to troubleshoot. So first of all, I'm going to test for continuity between the batteries, and then I'm going to remove all the lead crystals around the battery terminals, because that can also block continuity between the batteries. And then I'm going to check that the charge controller is receiving enough voltage to charge your batteries. So I've removed all the lead crystals on the battery terminals on each of the 4 battery terminals. So what I'm going to do right now is to check if there are little cleanup I can still do on the battery terminals before I go to the charge controller, and then I'll show you 1 or 2 things on the charge controller which can help you troubleshoot your own inverter at home. So for this particular inverter setup, I have been able to troubleshoot, and I noticed that the batteries are fine, but the problem is the batteries are not being charged. And if the batteries are not being charged, it means the battery is not receiving enough voltage from the charge controller. So I've gone to the charge controller and I've checked. The charge controller is not receiving the charge controller actually is receiving 0 volt from the panels on the roof of this building. That is where the panel is located, the solar panels. So what we'll do right now is to go. You can see the voltage is reading just 50 volt. Normally it's supposed to read around 54 volt, thereabouts for the batteries. It shows that the battery is low. Each of the batteries around 12.4, 12.5 volt thereabout. So if it's below that, it means something is wrong. Now let's look at the charge controller again. You can see 0 volt and battery capacity is 0, nothing. And then this is the battery number 4, which is correct. So okay, so you don't worry yourself about it.